All right, we're going to be doing the cheddar cheese potato breakfast bake. It's one of our new Harvest of the Month recipes, and it's adapted from the Massachusetts Farm to School program and Healthy School Recipes. So this is kind of a classic breakfast bake. We've got layers of cheese and eggs and some amazing locally grown potatoes that I've already gone ahead and shredded. So this is a really high flavor, high protein breakfast. It's a great one to start the day. And the first step is we're going to just use a little bit of olive oil on our sheet tray. You can also do this directly on a parchment paper lined sheet tray with some oil too, but we're going to save a step here. And these potatoes I shredded not even half an hour ago, and they've already oxidized, so they were beautiful and white when I shredded them, and they're starting to turn slightly brown, but they're still perfectly fine. If I wanted to prevent that from happening for whatever reason, I could soak them in water with a little bit of lemon juice, and that would prevent that oxidizing, but not too worried about it. And we're just gonna layer it out like this, and we've got our oven preheated to 350, and I'm gonna go ahead, throw it into the hot oven, let those crisp up, kind of like hash browns, and in the meantime, get started on the next step, which is to cook some ground pork. So the second step for our cheddar cheese potato breakfast bake is to layer everything together, and then we're going to cover it in tin foil and throw it back into the oven. So we have our shredded potatoes that roasted at a high temperature in a little bit of oil, and essentially what we did there is we made hash browns. So you can buy the shredded, already cooked hash browns. But this is a way to do it from scratch. As you saw, it was really simple, and you can get that local ingredient into the mix. And then the next thing is we're going to put some already cooked pork crumbles. So I actually used a breakfast sausage crumble in this, local breakfast sausage. So there's some nice flavor in there. This container is probably a little bit too big for what we're doing, but that's all right. And then we've got our sautéed local onions. We're really just layering in the flavors here. And this is also something if you wanted to throw in, maybe some broccoli or some other vegetables, it would go really nicely in this. I'd say anything, you want to cook it first if you're going to do broccoli or cabbage or something like that, and then just make sure that you're not introducing a lot of liquid. Like if you're going to cook spinach, you'd really want to cook it and squeeze out the liquid before you put it in here. If you put in a bunch of raw spinach, it would add so much moisture to this that it would mess it all up. And then the next step, we've got our local Maine milk, Oakhurst. We're going to use some of that. There we go. And then some local eggs. Definitely saving those shells for the compost. They have a lot of calcium and really good nutrients for your garden. And as you can see, I am whisking this right into the liquid measuring cup because it's just going to make it a lot easier to pour into. And we've got our salt and pepper. Good. Pour that right on top, kind of gently so it's not splashing everything around. And then we've got our low-fat shredded cheddar cheese here. So this breakfast is packed with so much flavor, so much good protein. Great start to the day. And then a little bit of green. We got to have some kind of green on here. So we've got some chopped scallions. All right. So that is everything. And then the next step is just to cover it with some tin foil and bake it into our preheated oven until it's all the way done, which to me means that, you know, all the eggs, of course, are cooked. That's the only raw ingredient in here, and eggs don't need a lot of time to cook. So you really want to make sure that cheese is all melted, and then when you prick a fork or a knife into the casserole, it comes out clean, and all those eggs are nice and cooked. All right, and we will check on this in about 10-15 minutes and see how it's looking. All right, so our cheddar cheese potato breakfast steak is done. It's beautiful. It smells amazing in here. And I had it covered for the whole time it was in the oven, except for the last 2 minutes or so that helped really melt and brown up some of that cheddar cheese on the top. Now I'm going to dish out a small portion here. Smells amazing. Nicely cooked. And then a lot of those scallions, they lost some brightness in the oven, so nice little pretty garnish. Got some more of those fresh scallions right on top. And that's our cheddar cheese potato breakfast steak.